Please pass the pepperoni pizza, por favor. Okay.
You can think of it, the D on your shirt. Keep it below that.
I'm not looking at myself.
Well, I'll think of it that way for you.
There you go. You can do this. Give me eyebrows if I'm going too high.
Well, I might do that anyway, so I'll just go.
There, okay. With that face, though, because if you just do it with a straight face, I won't know.
I'll go.
All right. Here we go. Welcome to Oddball. I'm Amin Elhassan in New York City, freezing my ass off. Over there, Charlotte Wilder, nonplussed.
Well,
nonplussed by the weather.
I'm not freezing my ass off, but I am nonplussed about it.
I'm very plussed.
I mean, it's super plus.
Super plus. I'm still wearing the same pants from yesterday because these are the heaviest, thickest pants I have in my inventory.
The leggings on?
I have the leg. Absolutely, I got the body, the shapewear.
Is that what's under your?
That's the shapewear. Yeah. We got Bet the Show a little bit later today. Charlotte.
We sure do.
It's brought to you by DraftKings, so you know we got to do it.
I can't wait.
The big bucks said, make it happen. And we shall. But you got to get to the headlines of the day, starting with, we had a trade.
We did.
At long last.
At long last. It was rumored that Pascal Siakam would be departing Canada and the Raptors and heading to an equally cold and fun place, Indiana, to the Pacers. What was your first thought when you saw that trade happen?
Well, my first thought was, wow, they didn't have to give up anything other than Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown, obviously, we all love Bruce Brown. He's a great role player. He was a great building block for that championship in Denver last year. I thought that was a big get for Indiana. Having said that, Siakam kind of makes him redundant because everything that Bruce does, Siakam does at a bigger level. He's bigger. He's longer. He's just as good a defensive player.
Yep.
He can also ball handle and create off the dribble like Bruce could. And he's a pretty good shooter as well. And so it's going to be interesting to watch Siakam play with a bona fide point guard again. Something he hasn't had since really Kyle Lowry.
Right.
No disrespect to Fred VanVleet. I think he's a fine player, but not really let me set you up. Let me make life easier for you.
Yeah.
And Siakam has kind of had to inherit that role in Toronto.
Yep.
And he's okay at it, but it takes away, I think, from his game. Now getting to play with the ultimate playmaker in the NBA right now, he gets to be himself. And then now the playmaking he does bring to the table, it's secondary, right?
Yep.
It's the defense is all focused on this side of the court. We swing. Now it's Siakam over here with a secondary pick and roll on the other side. Now the defense is scrambling. I think this is a great pickup for Indiana, and also kind of a nuts on the table pickup. We're serious about accelerating our progression plan.
I also think that it makes the Pacers dangerous in a way because, they
were always dangerous, right?
I know.
But this makes them
super dangerous.
Yeah, super dangerous.
Is that what you were going for?
Yeah,
well, JJ Redick pointed out on The Old Man and the Three that Siakam leads the NBA in field goals in transition. So here's a Pacers team that moves super fast. Everybody talks about also, I think, leading the league in points in the paint. I mean, these guys are so Siakam also, you give up Bruce Brown, sure, who was a part of that championship team. Siakam won a championship.
Yep.
People forget.
Yep.
He won a championship with Kyle Lowry. They scare me now in a good way.
This is the number one offense in the history of the NBA. I'm not being facetious. If you look at the stats, points per 100 possessions, no team has scored more points per 100 possessions in the history of basketball than the Indiana Pacers, and they just added an all-star caliber offensive player. You talk about points in the paint that they lead. They lead the league in scoring. They lead the league in points in transition. This just makes them faster because it's another dude who can push the floor up, who's super athletic, who can run up ahead and finish at the break. It gives Tyrese Halliburton another option. Again, no disrespect to Bruce Brown. You were an option too, but this is an all-star caliber option.
Yes.
And that's a big thing. Now, here's the downside, the quote-unquote downside, right? Number one, Siakam's a free agent at the end of the year and allegedly told all courting teams, I'm not going to commit to anybody. You trade for me, but we got to see what happens. So Indiana is inheriting a bit of risk here, a flight risk. Number two is the number of draft picks given up. They give up 3 first-round picks to get him. But Charlotte,
There's a
a
catch.
big but. There's an asterisk there, isn't there?
People hear 3 first-round picks, and they're like, oh, my God, you gave up the future of your team.
Right.
But, and Tom Haberstroh wrote about this in The Finder in his Substack. Mm-hmm. Not all first-round picks are created equal.
Equally.
In fact, the value drops significantly from the first to the 30th pick. And also the Knicks giving up a second-round pick for OG Anunoby is not too different from the 17 to 19th picks that the Pacers. Also, next year's draft, this year's, oh my God, it's 2024 already.
It's already 2024.
Holy crap. This year's draft is not anything that people are super pumped about.
Right.
So
there's a couple of things going on, right? Like the Knicks gave up a second-round pick. Like, oh, second-round pick, that's way worse. But they gave up Detroit's second-round pick, which is literally like 31. It's going to be either 31 or 32, right? If they get on a hot streak, maybe the Spurs pass them. But it's going to be basically 31. But as you said, Tom, who referenced an article by Kevin Pelton, who had written for ESPN Insider in 2019 about the value of a pick. So when you look at those picks, one of them, as we said, is their pick from this year. But as we established, probably of equal value to the Knicks second rounder that was sent to Toronto. Then you've got another pick that's coming this year that's not theirs. It is the least favorable of a collection of teams. I believe the Thunder, the Jazz, the Rockets, and maybe someone else. Doesn't matter, right? Like whatever the worst one is of that group of 4, that's what's going to Toronto.
Yes.
And then they have their first-round pick in 2026. But the assumption, and every time you're trading future first, you're operating on an assumption. Toronto is playing, I don't think you're going to be good in 2026. And the Pacers are saying, I think we're going to be great in 2026. That's what the trade-off is.
You know, whenever we talk about trade rumors or trades that actually happened or first-round picks or a lesser pick of this one or that, it feels like I think my brain shuts off a little bit because it feels like math class where they're like a train leaves Chicago and then if it leaves New York, but if there are 3 basketball players on the train from Chicago anyway, so I'm learning.
Yeah, well, back in the day before
but it's math.
Every website had all of this stuff available. Guess who had to track that for the Phoenix Suns?
Let me guess. Hold on, let me guess. Amin Elhassan.
That's right. I had a whiteboard, and I had
every
single. I had to track.
But you studied engineering.
That doesn't help. Or it helps minimally your ability to concentrate on boring stuff. But yeah, following, it was weird. There was one pick that had been traded. I want to say originally in 1999, and in 2009, I'm still tracing. It goes here, and then it goes here. But if it goes there, then it ends up here. And it's one of those things, like this pick that's going to Toronto. You have to track 4 different teams, what they're doing, and then realize within that there are protections. So it's the least favorable unless it falls under this.
It's math. It's a math problem. They should teach kids math this way.
No, that would be really confusing. I know my kids wouldn't learn it.
I don't have children.
So, Indiana, super scary.
Yes.
Let's put some on it though. Not just super scary. Is this clearly a top 6 team, out of the play-in?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Is this a team that can go top 4, home court advantage?
Yeah, we saw them beat Boston at home.
Boston's
without
won. So
Siakam.
Boston's clearly won, right? I'm going to say Philly is clearly 2 record-wise.
Yep.
And then it gets a little. Milwaukee
Bucks,
is 2.
Yeah.
So those 3, they're in a class of their own. But now when you start talking about the 4 spot, you start talking about them, talking about the Knicks, talking about the Heat.
Yep.
You're talking about, who else are we talking about?
Maybe the Magic.
Maybe the Magic.
Maybe
Had
the
a little
Magic.
bit of slide, but so it gets real competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlotte, if I ask you, let's go Magic, Knicks, Cavs, and Pacers. Who do you like the best out of that bunch?
Pacers.
Me too. All right. From a trade that actually happened to trades that might happen, right? This is according to Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports, friend of the program. And Jake just had a deluge of names that are on the block.
You know how you have can we have on the block? It's like a place you are, like you say, in the conversation as a
like
bar.
the
Like
MVP
on
conversation
the
bar.
trading block. The trading block is like at the corner of we need to pick streets.
You know what I think of?
What? I actually think of a butcher block, to be honest.
You think of a corner. I think of mid-block at the bus stop.
Oh.
And if you get on the bus, you got traded.
There it is.
If the bus missed it, then you got to go back home. Pascal Siakam last year waited at the bus stop. Nothing happened, went back home. This year,
he got on the bus.
Got on the bus to Indiana. It says Indianapolis on it.
And they beep, beep, beep,
all
beep, beep.
aboard! So these are the guys at the bus stop now. We'll start with someone who's not at the bus stop, actually. How about that? Duncan Robinson. You know
the
what?
NESCAC zone.
Do you know what Pat Riley said?
We love our sweet, sweet Duncan Robinson.
My Duncan rides no bus. He gets escorted, chauffeured.
He's on a private plane, I mean.
Well,
I
had it.
I got excited.
We're doing ground transportation for now.
He's in an SUV. He's in an Escalade.
He's in the back of an Escalade
with Pat Riley,
like Succession.
Yes,
right. Like he's riding with Kendall.
Duncan Robinson would be
Cousin Greg.
Cousin Greg.
I'm not even gonna allow you to go any other way. He's Cousin Greg. But you know how Cousin Greg
Greg worked his way to the top.
Right? But you know how Cousin Greg, at one point in Succession, if you haven't watched Succession, it's on HBO Max, watch it. It's great. So Cousin Greg, at one point, it was like, he looked like he's going to be on the outs. And then switch around with change. All of a sudden, now he's one of the most powerful people in the organization.
Exactly.
That's what happened to Duncan Robinson.
Exactly.
He went from Cousin Greg, you're just lucky to be here, to right here by my right hand. So
I love it. So Duncan is not available.
Yeah, that's a translation.
Yeah, he's not leaving Miami. He's not leaving the Miami Heat.
He's untouchable, according to Jake Fisher.
Okay. Who's a guy that you think is the most touchable? Who do you think is the guy most likely to get on the bus next?
Next guy on the bus. Now, Jake Fisher names some names. He names Andrew Wiggins. Mm-hmm. He names DeJounte Murray. Mm-hmm. He names P.J. Washington. He names Dorian Finney-Smith. I would say, based on season going and incongruity on the court and value of the asset, DeJounte Murray has to be on a bus somewhere.
Okay.
This is a guy who defends, who shoots, who play makes, a big guard. He could play either guard spot. And Atlanta has no clue what it's doing.
Yeah.
They are 5 games under 500. They are struggling, and it's not working. And they are, by all accounts, above everyone who has their pulse. They're bought in on the Trae Young experience.
Yep.
So instead of saying we'll trade Trae Young, they're just looking to move everybody. In fact, the report came out that the only 2 untouchables in Atlanta, the guys who are getting chauffeured around, are Trae Young and Jalen Johnson, right? Those are the 2 guys. They're not going anywhere.
They're not getting on the bus.
They're not getting on the bus.
No.
Everybody else, available. So of all the everybody else's out there, DeJounte Murray, combined with a really, really, really affordable salary.
Yes.
That guy's going somewhere.
He's got a 4-year, $114 million extension that begins next season.
You're locked in, basically. And that's peanuts compared to the caliber of player he is.
So where do you think he should go?
Well, it's funny. The Knicks were one of the places that were very, very interested in getting him. I don't know if that's still the case after the OG Anunoby deal.
Does that still make sense?
I think it does.
Okay.
I think it's, again, my whole thing about the Knicks, I've said it over and over again, the civil war between impulse and IQ, and the IQ is winning, and DeJounte's another IQ guy. Mm-hmm. So you're just adding more to the table there, and presumably subtracting another. It depends, though, who's the guy that gets given up in this deal.
Right.
Or is it just the carcass of Evan Fournier and 8 zillion picks, right? Because that's what you get picks for. That's what
the money's for.
Shout out to Mad Men, right? San Antonio's a place that's been allegedly interested. That's kind of wild when you think about it. A return to San Antonio for DeJounte Murray. I wonder if both he and Pop have grown. Because if you remember, there was a little bit of friction. Not Kawhi levels, but just enough to be like, maybe this thing has run its course. Mm-hmm. So I wonder him coming back, would everyone be like kinder and gentler to one another? And also, hey, don't know if you watched the Spurs game, they have no point guard. They've been letting Jeremy Sohan run point, and that's disastrous. And so DeJounte and even Victor Wembanyama has talked about how, I'm frustrating, I'm trying to learn or whatever, but like it's hard. The guy they routinely look him off. I don't know if it's on purpose or just due to ignorance, but either way, playing with someone who actually knows how to get him the ball, I think would accelerate his development. Other names,
I mean, one that's interesting to me is Lauri Markkanen of Utah, because they've been playing better.
Yes, a lot better.
A lot better. And I think in the first half of the season, people are like, oh, well, this could be very likely. Mm-hmm. Do you see this as something that could still happen, or do you, they're locked in?
Again, Lauri Markkanen is on a great contract. So it's like, it's starting to work. It's starting to happen for them. They're now in the play-in. They're going to try and get above the break, but they're probably not going to get there. But it's working.
Yeah.
So you don't ruin that. You don't stop it. Again, because Lauri is under contract, very reasonably so.
Right.
But I'm interested. See, I think Utah's going to be a buyer, not a seller.
I like that. I like that for Utah.
Yeah. Instead of, hey, what do you want for this? It's like, hey, I want some of that. Can I get that? Right? Here's a name for you. I'm not even going to name a person. I'm going to name an entire team. About a few miles that away. Across the river. Not far from where you live.
The Nets?
The Brooklyn
Nets.
Oh,
I thought you were talking about across the river in Utah, and I was like, is there a river in Utah?
There is, but we don't talk about
Colorado?
The Brooklyn Nets.
The Brooklyn Nets.
I think we're going to see fire sales.
I do too.
Fire sales.
We went to the Knicks Nets, and even then in December, we were like, well, this looks pretty bad.
Looks shaky. And it's
do you think Mikal Bridges goes anywhere?
I don't think Bridges goes anywhere because, again, his contract is amazing.
Right.
But I think guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, I think Dennis Smith Jr., I think
Dennis Smith, he has to move again.
Look.
That's the league.
It's not only the league, but it's like, at least that means they want you.
Yeah.
They want you somewhere. That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
The number one goal is not to stay with a team. The number one goal, remember, Charlotte, is always to stay in the league.
Yeah, I've worked at 8 different companies in my life. I mean,
there you go. And you're still here. You're still in the league.
She's still doing it.
There you go. Showing up every day. That's the trick, kids. That's 75% of it. Just show up. So I think those two guys, I think you might look at some other guys, maybe a Lonnie Walker the fourth, maybe even, dare I say it? Shall I say it out loud? Cam Johnson?
Who?
Like, I think
Thomas?
Cam Thomas. I think Cam Thomas.
He sticks around?
I think he sticks around. I think they like him. But there's an opportunity. Spencer Dinwiddie's another one. I know he hasn't shot it great this year, but these are all players that are not, blockbuster deals.
But they could be extremely helpful somewhere else.
Exactly. Extremely helpful.
Which is probably why their roster isn't working for the Nets. Because it's made up of a bunch of guys who could probably be extremely helpful somewhere else.
Yeah. And so that bus stop is real crowded.
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins is another name. I don't know what the deal is because Golden State isn't going to wave a white flag. So they'd have to get something that they feel like helps them in return. But if you're Dallas, you're doing the same thing. And by the way, you're competing in the same sandbox. These are teams, I know Golden State has been struggling and Dallas has been playing well, but Golden State is looking for that magic elixir that's going to make them have this huge comeback. And so that makes it difficult if you're trying to deal with someone who's in that same sandbox.
You know what that elixir is?
What's that?
It's a time machine.
So Charlotte, bring it back full circle. We started by talking about the untouchable Duncan Robinson and how he's not going anywhere. But reports have surfaced out of Charlotte that Terry Rozier might be on the move and his preference, the bus he's waiting on, down to 601 Biscayne Boulevard, right across from the fabulous Elster Hotel, Kaseya Center. He wants to be a Miami Heat player.
Who doesn't? Well, I don't.
Yes, you do. The Heat are one Marcus Smart deal away from becoming Charlotte's favorite team. But Terry Rozier, yeah, here you go. Terry Rozier, tough defensive player, excellent three-point shooter, a little bit of vuv for an offense that at times struggles, particularly when they're missing either Jimmy or Bam.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Rozier in Miami, I think that could be a nice fit. Remains to be seen, though. If you can't give up Duncan Robinson, what are you giving up to get him?
Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero. No, it's not going to be Tyler Hero. Or is it? I don't know.
He spent a lot of time at the bus stop.
Tyler Hero?
Mm-hmm.
He got left.
He never gets on, but he just hangs out there.
Says, it's going
Pat's
to
like, Pat Riley's like, can you just go see what's going on at the bus stop and hang out there for a little while?
The Portland bus will come to pick you up at any moment now.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there.
He's like,
yeah. You know, like the kid, the last kid to get picked up. And then he has to go, Mom?
Are you coming?
Yeah.
Pat, Dad?
Charlotte?
Yes.
We're spinning the roulette wheel. We're doing the thing that the croupier at the caps table does.
We're rolling the dice.
Yeah, that's what they do. We're putting chips on the table because we're about to play Bet the Show.
Bet the Show.
And it's presented by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with promo code Oddball.
Because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings. The crown is yours.
We play this game where we have to hear a bet and then hear a wager. We got to pick one of these, though, Charlotte.
We have to pick one of these.
We got to pick one of these.
We got 3 bets we got to choose from.
3 bets, 3 wagers that go along with it.
Put all our chips on.
Are on the table.
Yeah.
They're on the table. Bet number 1, Charlotte.
Yes.
The Pacers with Pascal Siakam will make the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay.
The wager is, are you willing to bet wearing an inflatable dinosaur costume? If you win, you can make a person of your choice in the Metal Arc universe wear the costume. If you lose, you have to wear the inflatable dinosaur costume for an entire episode of Oddball. All right?
Okay.
Second bet. At the All-Star break, the Celtics will have the best record in the league, not just the East. The wager, are you willing to bet wearing a jersey on the show? If you win, you get a jersey of your choice. Retro or throwback are allowed. Sorry, no signed memorabilia. So that Larry Bird autograph one is not going to happen.
Okay. And
can choose to wear it on the show or not. If you lose, you have to wear a custom Miami Heat jersey of the shipping containers choosing on Oddball and the Dan Le Batard show. A lot of stakes on that one.
Okay.
Third bet. Neither Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic will win MVP this season.
Okay.
And by the way, this is a bet you can actually make on the DraftKings Sportsbook.
Yes, you can make that bet.
The wager, are you willing to bet a day at the racetrack or highlight? If you win, you get to live it up like a part owner of the Cyclones or hit the sweet life a la Jokic at the track. Nikola Jokic is not included in this wager. If you lose, you have to stand against the fronton as your co-host gets to whip a highlight ball at you or race against the horse. What?
I have questions about the logistics of that last one. Can if you win it be you can stay home?
Oh, you don't want to live it up as a part owner of the Cyclones?
Just kidding. I love doing stuff. Okay, I mean,
which one of these bets speaks to you?
Well, the problem is that if I take the Pacers being in the Eastern Conference Finals, that means that the Celtics are not.
Not really. They could be playing the Celtics in the conference finals.
Oh, I forgot.
You just assumed the Miami Heat will be there because she's a Heat fan.
No.
I told you guys.
Shh. I got confused with the finals. I was like, the East can't play the East. The East has to play the West.
Sure.
But that's the finals, not the Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, I'm taking that one.
Really?
Yes.
Over the Celtics one?
Yes, because I feel like being surprising.
Oh, okay.
You can take the Celtics one.
I'm not
going to be the person who jinxes the Celtics. I mean,
but it just feels like such a slam dunk there.
Yeah, I know. They're a bajillion games ahead of everybody else.
I mean, Minnesota's the next closest.
I like living on the edge. I put all my chips on one roulette thing. I actually lost $120 doing that once because that's how I thought you played. I didn't know you could spread your chips out.
So you need to hit the tables with me.
I'm very bad at betting, but I'm going to take that first one because it seems fun.
It is a fun one. It's a fun one. But number 2 is a slam dunk. I'm taking the second one.
Okay, great.
DraftKings Sportsbook app, DraftKings Fantasy Sports. Remember promo code Oddball. And a reminder, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details. Practicing with what I'm about to say about the Pacers is about their picks. It's not quite the picks that the Pacers picked, but
But Peter Piper, who
Peter
picked the
Piper,
peck of
pizza
pickled peppers.
with pickled peppers and pepperoncinis, whatever that means,